And now we are recording. Fantastic. We were just talking conspiracy theories and hockey and all good stuff like that. Just kind of biding our time.
We're not talking about the conspiracy theories. We're just
No.
talking about if we believed in them. Because we would have been on here for hours if we.
I totally believe in them.
Here we go. See? Oh boy.
I asked people to rate themselves 1 to 10 on how big of conspiracy theorists they are, and we've got a range from minus 0 to somebody admitted a 7, and I think I put myself at 7 or 8. So
I'm pretty close to 7 or 8 too.
Probably
Yeah. Oh, there we got an 8. All right, Mason, way to go.
Wait, let's write their names down. They're probably will be our friends, so let's write those down quick.
I mean, life is more fun. Or as
we could start our conspiracy blog. That'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wouldn't get shut down. It's fine.
Yeah. All right. So, Dr. Saunders, good to see you. I was wondering if we scared you off because we were texting about, hey, what should we talk about today?
Yeah. I'm trying to avoid talking about myself.
Yeah, I had the idea of like, let's hear Dr. Saunders' story and let's ask him a couple questions for 15, 20 minutes. Because I think getting to know you better, like, it just will be helpful for people because we've been doing this webinar for 95 episodes now, 94, 95. And so we're coming close to 2 years here pretty soon. And I think your story itself is pretty remarkable and encouraging. And I think if more people can hear it, they can, I think, connect the dots more and get some motivation. And also, other webinars might make a little bit more sense or whatever. So anyways, let me just start things off and ask you, give us a couple minutes of what's your elevator speech when somebody says, hi, who are you? And what do you do? What do you tell people?
Well, my name is Scott Saunders and I'm a physician. And what I do is instead of treating symptoms with drugs, I look for the root cause of why somebody has something so that they don't need medications anymore.
All right. Well, that was a good 15-seconder now. So, okay. So now let me ask a little deeper question. So, when did you decide you wanted to be a doctor? And what did those initial first few years look like when you started medical school and like relate that to maybe what were some of your expectations and then how were those maybe not met? Because you kind of went a little different path.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I was in a career class of all things and looking through all the careers, I'm like, man, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. No. It was just like the only things that had any draw for me at all as far as interest was being a teacher, especially like a high school science teacher. I think I would have liked that. And then the other one was a medical doctor, a physician. And I might have been either one at any time, but my cousin was going to medical school. And I really admired he was my older cousin. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do what he did. And I did exactly what he did. My undergraduate was in microbiology because that's what he did. So I chose to do that. So I studied microbiology and then I went to medical school after that and studied medicine. And that's where I met my wife. And then when I was in residency, I was really it was kind of a letdown. It was an anticlimactic experience of dang it, we don't know anything. I thought doctors were supposed to know everything, and we don't train in health. I didn't know anything about health. They didn't train me in what's the normal function of a thyroid gland. I didn't know what it was. What's the normal function of a stomach? The stomach is an amazingly intricate organ that it does. I thought it just held food, but it's an incredibly complex system of hormones and digestion and absorption, and it has its own protective layer. It can make an acidic environment so acid you could get like a pH of 1.4. It's like super acidic, and yet it protects itself, and it doesn't break down, and it just works every time and keeps working for 100 years. And then the pancreas and everything in the body is just so amazing. And I didn't know anything, and I really felt kind of dumb. And so what I was taught was to be a technician. So doctors at one point were supposed to be experts, right? You were supposed to know something and then be able to use judgment. That's all gone by the wayside. That medical education is a technical school now. You're going to technical school, and here's what it is. This set of symptoms or anything close to it gets this diagnosis, and this diagnosis requires one of these treatments. And so your technical expertise is which one of those drugs are you going to choose to treat this disease that you diagnosed based on these symptoms. And you can pretty much have a cookbook kind of medicine, and most medicine is all cookbook now. It's all recipes of. And so what happens to people who don't fit into that? What if they have symptoms that are outside of the specific diagnosis? Well, then they don't exist. They're not real. They're faking it. They got to go see a psychiatrist. You know how many people were sent to psychiatrists for, fibromyalgia? And now that there's a drug for fibromyalgia, fibromyalgia. Yeah, I know what that is. That's in our cookbook now. So that I was really kind of disappointed in that because I thought we would like know more and be able to treat people as individuals. And so what I did is I started learning something called integrative medicine. As integrative as you put it all together, and you use whatever modality is required. So if you need herbs, use that. If you need vitamins, use that. If you need acupuncture, you do that. If you send someone to a chiropractor. So I was doing that kind of medicine, just sending people to different modalities. And then I discovered functional medicine. And functional medicine is restoring function. It's finding what is the root cause of that problem and how can we restore the function of the stomach. So instead of just, you have a lot of acid in your stomach and that's why you're getting ulcers. So we can give you something to suppress the acid. And how long are you supposed to take that? Well, the FDA says you really can't take Prilosec more than 2 weeks. But there are plenty of people who've been on it for years, many years, decades even. And what does that do? Well, it causes osteoporosis. It causes magnesium deficiency. It causes vitamin B12 deficiency. It causes a breakdown of other systems in your body because your stomach is not digesting and absorbing properly because you can't make acid because you're taking this drug. And but what if we restored the system so it works well, so you can make a ton of acid when you need to digest the food and then stop making acid when you don't need it? That would be awesome to restore the function. And that works with anything. If you have migraine headaches, you come in, the doctor says, well, tell me about your headaches. You go, well, it's one side. I got this, and pain, and I got the scotoma in my eyes. And the guy says, aha, you have migraine headaches. So I'm going to give you this drug, Imitrex, and that's what you're going to take. And you take Imitrex, and dang, it works. My pain went away. But the next day I got another one. And the next week I got another one. And the next week I got another one. And dang, I'm still getting migraine headaches. So the doctor says, fine, just take another pill and take another one and take another one. I have a woman who's gets migraines every day and takes 3 to 4 of those pills every single day. So I put her on a program, a diet program with some supplements and things, and found out what the problem was. And she no longer had migraine headaches until she went off the program and said, "I'll forget it. It's not worth it." And now she gets migraine headaches every day again and takes that Imitrex every day. So, and I had someone else who has diabetes, and I said, "Okay, you got to quit drinking the Dr. Pepper." And he said, "There are things worse than death." So he continues to drink his Dr. Pepper. And now he's getting neuropathy in his feet. And I'm like, "Dude, don't go there. Don't go there. That's not worth it." And he's going, "Yeah, it's worth it. I'd rather drink my Dr. Pepper." So, not everybody's happy with functional medicine, but for me, I used to do it because I wanted to be like Mr. Know-It-All and know everything, and that was my thing. But you know what? Now I've been thinking about this. I was talking to my daughter about it. I don't care if somebody doesn't like me. They don't have to like me. I have one patient who has neuropathy in his feet, and he still gets tingling in his feet. And he goes, "Oh, that Dr. Saunders, he's a dumb doctor. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. My feet are still tingling." But I'm really happy because what he doesn't know is that he avoided an amputation of his foot. He doesn't know how close he was to amputation of that foot. And now he's walking on his foot. Yeah, it tingles, but he didn't get it cut off because of what he did with me. So he may think that I didn't help him at all, but I know I did. And so I'm happy with that. As long as I know that I helped somebody, that's what brings me joy. That's the satisfaction that I get from being a doctor, is I actually help somebody.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean, I think most people do love you. And so
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And he's out.
You mentioned, I like, you wanted to be a science teacher, and you really are. You have been a teacher that's what I love about you. Like, you explain things, and you, like, good teachers really explain things and make it fun to learn. And that's what I appreciate about you. And people are commenting, "We love you." So yeah, but like the way that you can explain the function of things, and explaining how the stomach works, or the kidneys, or the liver, and all things like that, like, it's fascinating. And like, then when you go back and you think about, like, traditional medical doctors, they're just putting band-aids on these problems. They're not getting to the root source or root cause. And so we don't,
you know what? They would be better off. People would be better off if the doctor did just put a Band-Aid on it. But the problem is the number 3 cause of death in the United States right now is properly prescribed medications. So drugs are a negative. They're actually not helpful. They're worse because they do more harm than good. And so if you say, "Wow, for example," someone gave this example and it was really good. What if every day you heard about a 747 crashing with no survivors? Every single day, another 747 crash, no survivors. Another 747 crash, no survivors. Would you get on a plane? Would you get on a 747? Would you say, "Gee, I feel safe getting on a 747? Well, that's what's happening in medicine right now. Every day, that number of people is dying in the United States of properly prescribed medication. They have some kind of reaction, some kind of problem with it, or like with the Prilosec, it depletes their minerals or whatever, and they get dysfunctional and they get an infection and die or something. So if you knew that, would you feel safe going to a doctor if you knew that you're that likely you're more likely to have a problem, to cause problems and be helped? I don't know. I didn't like that.
I'm going to come full circle with the conspiracy theories here, but it's like sometimes people want to stay asleep, in a sense. Like, they don't want to know the truth, and the media doesn't tell you the truth about these plane crashes and things like that. And it's like, no, don't tell me about that. I'm just going to take the pill. The doctor knows best. It's fine. But like there's all sorts of different things in life that if you really do the research and dig into things, like they're like, you have to become your own like
advocate here.
Advocate, and aware and learn things. So I think
that's so true.
Yeah. Isn't it the Matrix? The guy offers them either the red pill or the blue pill. You can take the red pill and learn, like, and really see where you really are, which is in this crazy matrix, or you can take the blue pill and continue to be asleep. And so I love that analogy. So I guess my red shirt today is going along with that.
I was talking to my son about that just last week, about how I've always wanted to take the red pill. I'm not interested in the blue pill. I'm not interested in the fantasies and whatever the ideas that people have. I want to know what's really going on. So so that's what I've done in healthcare. As I study, I look, and I say, this doesn't match with this. Okay, which do I believe? Which is better? And I've learned how to read research, and that's another thing. Most doctors don't read research. They just take whatever the drug company tells them as this is fact, and it's not. The cholesterol idea, people are stuck on cholesterol, but it's a hoax. It's not even real. People. There's no good correlation between cholesterol and heart disease. People with low cholesterol get heart disease. People with high cholesterol get heart disease. There's a better correlation with low cholesterol and high death rate. so I don't know. It's just not. Take the red pill.
65 for cholesterol, by the way.
What's that?
Episode 65 for cholesterol. If you're wanting to watch that, we just posted that on our other webinar. So if you want to go back and watch that, the cholesterol hoax.
I think what it comes down to is it's the truth. Like, do you want to know the truth? And sometimes people don't want to know the truth. Like, nope, just continue lying to me. I just want to be comfortable. But Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. He didn't say that the truth was going to be easy necessarily, but at least when you know the truth, then you know what the issue is and you know how you can address it. And that's when you can take this information that we're learning and apply it. And that was the other thing I was thinking about recently, is like, you can know the truth, but if you don't actually follow, like, let's say somebody says, don't eat carbs like we do in our program, and your blood sugar will get better and your insulin resistance will go down. Well, you can know that, but you actually have to stop eating the carbs and actually comply with that truth and get yourself aligned with it. And then you experience the freedom that comes with it.
Yes.
So that Jesus, I think he was some called him a good teacher. I personally call him the son of the living God, as Peter said, and that was revealed. So let me preach a little bit. Jesus, love him. I believe he's our creator. He designed our bodies. He gives us people like Dr. Saunders that teaches us, like, how is our body made and how is it supposed to work? And so anyways, good stuff.
I'm going to also mention here too, because someone had brought this up. Dr. Saunders is not the only doctor doing this. There are other good doctors who are very good as well, who are doing research. So just to put that out there, David had said, there's a lot of information out there in healthcare and other areas, but I don't believe it's intentional or some plot with the drug companies. He says, sometimes it's just easier or simpler to believe the misinformation and the drug remedies. So that was a good note.
That's a good note. And when I was going to functional medicine seminars, when I first went, there was like 300, 500 doctors there. And now 10 years later, we get 5,000 doctors to a seminar. So, it's huge. It's increased rather dramatically in the last 10 years. There's a lot, and they're not all medical doctors. They're chiropractors and acupuncturists and nutritionists, And they're all learning this functional system of restoring function to the body instead of just treating a symptom. Because the other stuff, like a lot of the herbal stuff, is the same kind of thing. Oh, you have a symptom? Here's an herb instead of a drug. It's the same kind of issue without actually finding out what's the real root of the problem here.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, this has been good stuff. Kind of went a little bit off subject a little bit, but getting more information about your background, Dr. Saunders, and getting into some good discussion. But let's shift into the Q&A section, and we like to give the disclaimer that this is for informational purposes only. Dr. Saunders is going to answer questions, but of course he's not your specific doctor, doesn't know your medical history, things like that. And so take this as information purposes only. And so the other thing I was going to say is, I don't remember. I had a brain fart. That happens every once.
Well, all right then.
Your old timer's disease.
It was profound too. It was probably the most profound thing anyone could have ever said in the history of mankind, but I just lost it. So, okay. So this is our time where people that have purchased the diabetes solution kit, which is boom right here. I just dropped everything all over. This is the diabetes solution kit that we teach. We've been selling this for 11 years or so. We've sold, I think, over 600,000 copies of this. Yeah, at least. And so this is the program where we teach lowering your carbs to 20 grams net carbs per day until you get your blood sugar numbers under control and get rid of that insulin resistance. And then phase 2 gets into increasing your carbs and kind of testing and monitoring and seeing, what does your body do when you add carbs? Can you keep your blood sugars under control with that, and sort of experimenting with that? So we're going to get into, I know what I was going to say. This is not profound, but so in the chat or in the Q&A section, I see we've already got a bunch of questions that have come in. The other thing I like to ask is if you have a story or testimonial of your success that you've experienced by implementing our program or Dr. Saunders' advice, we'd love to hear that from you. So share your testimonial in the chat. And if you have a story that you would be interested in sharing with us on a private Zoom call, we would love to set up a time to have just like hear your story and get on video and record that and share it with other people if you're willing to share that. We've had about 7 or 8 people, 5 or 7, somewhere in there that we've done that with, that have shared, and we've hopped on and made some friends with them. And it's really fun for us and fulfilling for us to hear that the work that we're doing is making a difference in people's lives. And so we are a virtual company, meaning that everyone that works for Barton Publishing and Barton Nutrition, they work from home in their home offices. And so we're not necessarily out and about in offices like Dr. Saunders is seeing patients. So it's kind of fun for us to hear the stories, and it helps us feel a little bit more fulfilled knowing that our work that we're doing behind the desk and the computer is actually helping people. So if you have a story to share, type it up and give it in the chat. And also if you're interested in, if you want to hop on a Zoom call with us, you can send Leslie an email, and Leslie at bartonpublishing.com, I believe, is what we have people do. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Leslie. What kind of questions do we have coming in?
Lots of good questions today. Quick note, if you want to see past webinars, head to bartonwebinar.com. That will give you a link to our YouTube channel where you can subscribe and see all of our past webinars. Over 90 webinars. Actually, there's way more. There's over 100. We've been doing random little things too, so you'll find a lot of good information. But okay, questions. I had one ready and then I got distracted, so here we go. Okay, Robert had asked, in which webinar do we talk about fatty liver? And I'm not sure right now, but Dr. Saunders, do you have recommendations for someone who has fatty liver, and what could they be doing about it?
Okay, fatty liver is when the liver cells are dying and they're replaced by fat, and so there's fat globules all over in the liver. And it's not unusual for liver cells to die. They're not like kidney cells. They're not. They shouldn't die. But liver has a turnover. There's a turnover of cells that's a pretty high rate of turnover. So the liver's regenerating all the time. So that's not that by itself is bad, but the fat indicates that it's there's some inflammation and it's not regenerating. There's some actually toxicity. And there's a lot of toxins that can cause fatty liver. So for example, people that get dry cleaning fluid, if they drink it, it gets into their liver, and that's a toxin to the liver will create a fatty liver. Alcohol creates a fatty liver because alcohol is toxic to the liver. But there's sugars that are also, especially fructose, and then high fructose corn syrup and those kinds of issues. Sucrose is half fructose, and so is honey and maple syrup and agave nectar. These are all like 50% fructose. So people who get too much of those sugars can also get fatty liver. So one of the things to do is to do a cleanse. And this is real. People think that I'm going to do a cleanse and it's like nothing, but no, this is real. The way you cleanse your liver is by not putting anything through it. And you don't put anything through it when you're not eating. So your stomach is empty and your liver is allowed to regenerate like it's supposed to and use up all that extra fat and put out the extra sugar into your body. And that's what a liver's supposed to do. When you're not eating, the liver makes extra sugar called gluconeogenesis and puts that in your body to keep your sugar at a level where your brain and your heart and your kidneys can use it. So a cleanse is a thing, and we've talked about broth cleanses and water fasts and intermittent fasting of all kinds. And these kinds of things are what cleanses the liver. So when you're not using the liver, when the liver's not having to process a whole bunch of stuff, that's when you cleanse out the liver, and that's the best way. Now, there are some supplements you can take. Milk thistle extract is actually very useful in restoring the function of the liver, the detox function of the liver. So you can take the milk thistle extract along with B vitamins. Most of the activities of the liver require high amounts of B vitamins, B12, B1, B2, all the B vitamins. So a B complex, for example, would be really good.
This is good. Okay. This will be probably a question for Joe. I received an email from Barton Support regarding purchasing the Keto Soups cookbook. Was this legitimate? When I replied to the email, it came back to me as undeliverable.
Yeah, that is one of the partners that we work with. And so I don't know why the email would have come back undeliverable. So if you email our support at bartonpublishing.com, we can help you with that. So
awesome. Here's a fun note from James. It says, I told you last week how my A1C dropped from 6.9 to 5.8 and how I cut my metformin from 4 to 3 tablets a day. I'm pretty sure now that I have things under control. I can't remember what I ate that had my sugar number at 161 yesterday. So yesterday I did the 20 carb a day diet for the day. And this morning my number was 103. I'm on just 2 metformins a day now, and I'm extremely happy with my progress. Jamie. So awesome. The 20 carbs a day is what we recommend in our phase 1 of our diabetes solution kit. So when things, kind of get out of control or you make a mistake or something like that, go back to what you know in phase 1 and do what he did because it worked really quickly for him. So I love that note.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Deb says, Any chance you would know any functional physicians in the Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Michigan area? We're getting rid of dumping our current physician as he goes by the current cookbook. That's funny.
No, but I do have a recommendation for that. So for anybody who's looking, just go integrative physician near me or integrative practitioner. Even if you get like a chiropractor, an acupuncturist or something, then they may be able to help you, or you can ask them, because we all know each other. I know all four. There's only four in the whole Santa Barbara area, and we all know each other. We actually have the same patients in common, and so we often see the same people anyway. So if you're looking for a functional medicine doctor, just get close. Look for someone who's integrative or functional or something, and if that's not the right one, a good fit for you, then ask them about who else is in the area, and then until you find a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
I like this note from Meg. We've talked about this before, but there is a 17 to 20 year lag to get information out to physicians.
Yeah, that's about right. It's about 20 years. The amount of information in healthcare is doubling every 5 years. And nobody can keep up with that because the system is set up to be a system, and it's not very flexible. So the system stays the way it is and kind of gradually changes. And it's like there is literally a 20-year lag between that information. So, for example, last year, 2 years ago, a study was published in Nature. It's a science journal, and it showed the cholesterol. The optimum level of cholesterol is 220, no matter what age you are. Well, if you're a young woman, it doesn't. But anyway, for almost anybody, a cholesterol of 220 is the optimum. Well, if you look in the labs, they say under 200 is still optimum. And that's not going to change for like 20 years. We still have another 20 years before doctors are going to be saying, well, actually, your optimum level of cholesterol is 220.
Today's Fixed Blood Sugar webinar is sponsored by Cinechroma, our best-selling advanced blood sugar support formula. Now, thousands of people around the world are taking Cinechroma every day as part of their program to fix their blood sugar using natural ingredients that simply work. Now, Dr. Saunders formulated Cinechroma to meet key nutritional deficiencies that most people have unknowingly suffered from for far too long. With Cinechroma, you get a blend of 6 key ingredients. The perfect combination of chromium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, which it's important to take those two together, selenium, vanadium, and our 10-to-1 cinnamon bark extract. Now, if you're not already using Cinechroma, I highly recommend that you give it a try and see how it helps your energy, your weight, and your blood sugar numbers. You can get Cinechroma at bartonnutrition.com or on Amazon. If you get it at bartonnutrition.com, you can enter the coupon code webinar25 and you'll save 25% off at bartonnutrition.com. But I realize some people like to go to Amazon as well. So anyways, Cinechroma, highly recommend. Now let's get you back to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar.
Wow. Okay. Deborah says, I am one person who is not taking metformin, but my doctor keeps saying that I'm hurting myself. Is this true? Since using the diabetes solution kit, my blood sugars are running between 83 and 100 every morning.
Oh my gosh. What do you, I don't understand why you would need metformin. Okay, consider this. Metformin can be helpful. It kind of blocks the body's ability to use sugar and kind of forces you to burn fat for energy, which is a huge issue for a lot of people that have insulin resistance and type 2. So the doctor's saying that that's an important drug. Well, it can be helpful, but don't forget that it is a toxin. It's a poison. It poisons an enzyme in the mitochondria that blocks your sugar, your proper sugar use. And some people get rhabdomyolysis. Their muscles start breaking down because they can't use the sugar in their muscles. It's not benign. It is a toxin. So so don't forget that. So when somebody tells you you have to use this toxic substance for treatment of a symptom, then look at your symptoms. If your blood sugar is between 86 and 101 in the morning, you don't need that. You don't need that.
Okay, Meg.
I think it's my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? We better do our disclaimer right now.
We already did.
Yeah,
we
we
did?
kind of did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
Joe did it.
Okay.
When you weren't listening.
Apparently, I wasn't listening. I don't know what I was doing. All right. Meg says, does acacia gum have a beneficial effect on diabetes? And do you believe it does different things than psyllium does?
Okay. Okay, thank you. We are actually just going over this right now. We're in the process of making a new supplement for that's going to include fiber and all of the benefits of this fiber. So acacia gum is a fiber. It's a soluble fiber that's useful in some ways. And one of the things that these fibers do, including psyllium does have some effect on this too, but that's an insoluble fiber. Is it slows down the absorption of sugar, so you don't have this fast absorption that's called a high glycemic index that causes your pancreas to go, oh no, and the pancreas freaks out and puts out all this excess insulin, and that starts making you insulin resistant, giving you hypoglycemia and causing other problems. So yes, the acacia gum, other fibers, the pectin is a soluble fiber that works. Fructooligosaccharides, psyllium husks, all these fibers are helpful, and that's why when I'm talking about in phase one, that we have a lot of vegetable matter with our in our phase one, where we have very low carbohydrate, but eating a lot of vegetables that are low carbohydrate vegetables that are free. You can have as much as you want. You can have as much lettuce as you want. You can have as much celery and broccoli as you want, and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower. And so you're not limited to how much of that type of carbohydrate. That's the fiber. That's where the greatest benefit is.
All right, I've got a question related to fiber, and I don't think I'm going to like your answer, but yesterday or a couple days ago, we got some tortillas, and it's this Mission Carb Balance flour, and it's got 4 net grams of carbs, and so it's got 19 grams of carbs, but 15 grams of dietary fiber. So when you're calculating net carbs, you can subtract the fiber from the carbs. So 4 grams, like, wow, I can have a tortilla. But now here's the ingredients list, and I have a question. Which of these ingredients is the fiber? Because I'm not seeing any of it. Water, no. Modified wheat starch, is that fiber?
No, it's starch.
Okay, so
yeah.
enriched bleach flour, which is wheat flour,
No.
niacin, reduced iron, thiamine mononitrate, riboflavin, folic acid. That's not right.
Yeah, that's flour. Yeah.
What about
no fiber?
Wheat gluten.
Wheat gluten, that's a protein. It's not a fiber.
Okay. Vegetable shortening.
No.
Wheat gluten isolate.
No.
That's more of a protein, right?
That's protein. Yeah, those are peptides.
And then contains 2% or less of salt, baking soda. So it's like, where's the fiber? Like, there's nothing in their ingredients that tells me there's fiber. So I'm like,
well, I wonder how the modified food starch, most of it, it is. I don't know if that could be what they're calling fiber, and I don't know if that's digestible. I know some of them, like if you read the ingredients list of Cheerios, and it says it has oats, and that's good for you. And what they don't tell you is that there's actually about as much starch in their modified food starch as there is oat flour. But anyway, yeah. You know what? I don't know.
So I'm a little skeptical. Like that. It seems too good to be true. I don't know if those ingredients, they're probably not that healthy, regardless of the carb content or fiber. So, yeah.
But I suspect you're right.
Yeah.
And a follow-up question to this, because Gardner McKay had asked this: how do you figure the net carbs? You're taking total carbs minus the fiber, and that's how you get net carbs. So that's how they came up with that number. Let's see, another question from Andy. What low blood sugar number causes concern when not on any medication?
Okay. If you're getting below 60 and it's dropping, then there may be some concern. But let me tell you about a study done with rats where they dropped their blood sugar. They gave them insulin, dropped their blood sugar to 40s. And in the 40s, of course, they were hypoglycemic and they're feeling it and they're laying around. They're not doing anything. And they probably got migraine headaches or something. But then they kept them that way. And by the fourth day, the rats were up running around and doing everything normal. They checked their blood sugar and it's still 40. And so they did a biopsy of the blood-brain barrier and found 10 times the glucose transport proteins that bring sugar into the brain. So that just tells you that when your blood sugar gets low, that's what stimulates the ability for you to make those glucose transport proteins that are so important for the brain, the kidney, the heart. And so people get kidney disease long before they have diabetes. They can already show kidney disease, even though their blood sugars are only moderately elevated, because their glucose transport proteins have been low for so long. So getting hypoglycemia in the, 60s, 50s is not really dangerous by any means, especially if you haven't taken insulin that's going to cause you to continue to drop low. But when you're in the 20s, that's definitely the time when you could go into a coma, you could have brain damage and problems when you're getting too low. So the 30s are definitely too low. The 20s are definitely too low. But if you're in the 60s, that's probably okay. Everybody's different. That's the problem.
Okay. Let's see. Paul said he started doing intermittent fasting 2 days ago by eliminating breakfast. I've begun to see improvement in my blood glucose readings. This morning, my fasting reading was 105. Has not been this low in some time. I will be attempting to do intermittent fasting from now on.
That's a great idea. And we have a whole webinar on that. If you want to go back to the webinar on fasting, we talk about all the different types of fasting and different things you can do. Intermittent fasting, if you skip dinner and you just eat breakfast and lunch, that is so healthy. It's amazingly healthy.
Yeah, that's something you've talked about in the past. If you are going to skip a meal, it's a little better to skip the dinner meal than the breakfast meal. So it might be something you'd want to experiment with, Paul.
Okay. Meg is asking, what is the role of our spleen in diabetes? How do we support it? What foods help it? What causes cysts on it? A nurse friend just had surgery and a grapefruit-sized cyst removed, but it has left a space where the lung tries to fill. She feels very uncomfortable. It's likely that the spleen can grow back. Is it likely that the spleen can grow back to fill the void? What could help? She's a nurse and I would like to help her. She's normal weight, about 75 years old.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, the spleen can form cysts on it. They're usually hematomas, which means they collect blood inside them, or hemangiomas. They have a bunch of blood vessels, and so the spleen sometimes has to be removed, and the void there is filled in by the tissues around it. And so the diaphragm is here, the lungs are up here, the diaphragm, and then the spleen is right underneath. When they take the spleen out, then the diaphragm that used to push the lung up now will expand, and the lung should expand to fill in that space pretty easily. I know the spleen does not grow back. You pretty much, they remove the spleen, then you've lost your spleen. You're asplenic.
Asplenic. Is that the actual medical term?
Yep, that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Chuck is looking for a high quality multivitamin product that supports my effort to control type 2 diabetes.
Well, the effort to control type 2 would come with certain things that are important for the utilization of sugar. And so we have formulated one called Cinachroma. And yes, it has cinnamon in it, and we often tout the cinnamon as really important because it has some effects like what metformin might do, for example, making you more sensitive to insulin to lower the blood sugar. But remember, that's just more of a symptomatic thing. Where a lot of the benefit comes in is in the multivitamin, where you're getting vitamin D, vitamin K, chromium, vanadium, selenium, all of which are very important for utilization of sugar. But the reason those are included primarily is because those are common deficiencies. These are things that people are often missing or low in, and replenishing them helps them to then use sugar more efficiently. And it's not so much of a struggle when you're on phase 1 of the program and you're going, gosh, this is just not working for me. Well, if you get all of the nutrients right, then it just flows easier and makes it nicer.
Okay, David said, I have diabetic neuropathy and I've ordered your pills for that. How effective is neuropathy treatment? Many sites say nerve damage is not reversible.
I know. You know what? People don't read the research. That 30 years ago, they would say the neuropathy is not reversible because no one had ever done it. But since then, there's been a lot of research to show, oh my gosh, you can actually reverse this. And I'm amazed constantly by endocrinologists I'm treating their patients, or they're coming to see me, and then they go back to their endocrinologist, and they go back to the endocrinologist and say, well, I don't have any more numbness in my feet, and my circulation is better, and I don't have the pins and needles anymore, and I got feeling in my feet again. And the endocrinologists are like, oh, okay, whatever. And they just go right along with what they're doing and don't look at, wait a minute, that's a miracle, because everything I learned in medical school says you can't do that, that's not possible. But it happened, but they're not even curious. They don't even ask, say, wait a minute, what the heck did you do? How did you do that? I want to know, because I got 100 other people that have that issue and I want them to get better too. But they don't ask. That's the funniest thing to me. Why don't they ask? I ask. Someone comes to me and says, I did this. I'm like, okay, how did you do that? What did you do? How did that work?
Wow. Yes. All right. Let's see. Lavelle says, since I don't seem to produce my own insulin, does magnesium help restore insulin secretion by the pancreas?
Okay. Yes and no. Magnesium is necessary, and it's part of the enzymes that control and develop the process of glucose control, which is a very complex system. It's not just insulin, but it's a very complex system. And magnesium is a very important part of that. You can't take it out. So if you're deficient in magnesium, it will mess up your glucose utilization, your energy systems generally. But if you're sufficient, if you have enough magnesium, adding more magnesium on does not make it better.
Okay. William is asking, how do I rev up my metabolism? I've tried a deep sleep tea, a CRP reducing supplement, and intermittent fasting. The fasting has helped me drop some pounds, but nothing has moved my metabolism off zero.
Okay. we're all different. And some people have just what are called fast metabolisms, and they make a lot of heat, and they sweat in the snow, and they're out there with, no shirt on, shoveling snow and all that. Whereas the other people are, even when it's 80 degrees outside, they got a coat on, and they're cold all the time. And so there's differences in metabolism for a lot of different reasons. There was, it's your thyroid. Yeah, sometimes that. It's your adrenal glands. Yeah, sometimes it's that. So sometimes it's a hormone imbalance. Sometimes it's just the way your metabolism works. So getting your metabolism off zero is not necessarily what you want to do. Actually, it's a good thing to have a lower metabolism, because why? You make less oxygen-free radicals. You don't burn hot. It's kind of like the difference if you're driving a car. If you put nitromethane in your gas tank and you're burning nitromethane in your car, your engine's going to last for, I don't know, 500 miles or 1,000 miles or something like that, because it's a very hot fuel, and the engine burns hot. And yeah, you get a lot of power out of it, but it's hot. And then on the other end, if you take a good diesel engine, they get a couple million miles on them. They can get over 1 million miles on a good diesel engine. Why? Because diesel's a very slow burning, cool fuel. It's not a hot burning fuel. It's a low heat fuel. In the same way, your metabolism, if you're burning hot, if you're running a high metabolism, you're making more oxygen-free radicals. And you're also more likely to get problems like inflammation and cancer. So I would look at your question as, wait a minute, why do you want to increase your metabolism? Ideally, we want to lower our metabolism. The whole idea of like the fasting thing. What does fasting do? Well, we were told, don't tell people to fast because it'll slow down their metabolism. And shuts down their adrenal glands, and kind of lowers everything and slows it down. And what'll happen then? Well, if they keep eating a whole bunch of food, they'll get fat because of slow metabolism. But that's really misguided, because the better way to do it is to fast periodically and eat a lot less, and have a slower metabolism, so that you don't make cancer, you don't make inflammation, you don't get arthritis, you don't decline with age, you just don't get old because you have a slow metabolism.
This is good. Good stuff. Okay. Lise is asking, is this an acceptable snack? Pork rinds. 1 gram of carbs per 15 gram serving. And it is pork rinds, lard, and salt.
Yeah. I love pork rinds. Mostly what's in the pork rinds is protein. What's left over. They take the pork rinds, which is just a fat layer, and they cut it up and they boil the fat out of them. And then what's left is the crispy. If that's what you're talking about, the crispy part.
Yeah.
That's actually the protein part, and of course there's fat, so it's protein and fat. Yeah, that's an acceptable snack. That's okay.
I see recipes where you can use that as like a breading for chicken. You got to use a couple other ingredients. I don't remember exactly what it is. I know I've made it. I just don't remember exactly what we used. And that's pretty good.
Huh.
Okay. We have more questions, and Dr. Saunders is gonna have to leave. Okay, let's do this. Let's see. Yesterday, I had to have an MRI to follow up on my acoustic neuroma surgery 30 years ago. I had to have a
gadolinium
injection. And what do I do to help rid myself of this? And can it affect blood sugar readings at all? Or would it be just because of the stress of the MRI?
Yeah. Okay. So gadolinium is a heavy metal. It's somewhat toxic. It's not extremely toxic like lead or mercury. And they tell you that the liver, the kidneys clear it out pretty well, and because they can detect it in the urine after you've had that injection of gadolinium. However, it still does collect in your body. It is a heavy metal. and it's not excreted easily. And so one of the ways to help get gadolinium out is to do using a cleanse with cilantro or chlorella. Chlorella is a blue-green algae. And these are two things that have been shown to hold on to heavy metals. Now, they don't get like into your body and take it out of your blood. What they do is you're excreting gallons of fluid into your intestines every day. And because all of that contains some of that, whatever the heavy metals are in there, then if you're eating cilantro and chlorella, then you're going to get, it's going to hold on to that gadolinium and it won't be able to be reabsorbed. So then it gets excreted out of there. So you'll get rid of it gradually over time. So if you don't like cilantro, cilantro is great. I love it. Just chop it into everything and use it, and always have a couple of buns there available to put in your salads and put on your fish and put on everything. And then use you can use capsules of chlorella, blue-green algae. That helps too.
Awesome. Okay. Let me see here. A couple of minutes left. A quick note. So Brian had mentioned he's very interested in some of the research that you're doing for type 1. And if any of you are, if you are type 1 diabetics, we'd love to know that. If we have a lot of type 1 people watching, that would be good information for us to know. So feel free to comment and let us know that. But we may need to do even a webinar about type 1 if we have a lot of interest in that. So
that's
something
a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also it said, and just a reminder to everyone watching that we are focused on type 2. So let's see here. A question that comes up often: when do I transition to phase 2? Quick answer for that, Dr. Saunders.
When your blood sugar is consistently in the 70 to 90 range for a couple of weeks or so, and you're always every morning, your fasting blood sugar is between 70 and 90, or if you're in Canada, it's between 4 and 5. So if you have that level of blood sugar on a consistent basis, it's time. Or you can look at your hemoglobin A1C, and if your hemoglobin A1C is between 4.8 and 5.2, then you're ready to transition to phase 2.
All right, final question. Deb purchased a fusion muscle massage gun, a deep tissue. Okay, a gun.
I have one of those.
We know the guns.
Yeah.
For my husband, because it said he has a 6 quad fork head to increase the blood flow. Thought he could use it on his feet to increase blood flow to avoid diabetic issues. Is this just a silly idea?
Well, no, actually, massage does increase blood flow. Acupuncture increases blood flow. Massage increases blood flow. Heat, magnesium. We often recommend foot baths with Epsom salts. Will also help. No, the massage is a good idea if you can get the blood vessels enlarged and get better blood flow. I also recommend the Nervala as well, because the Nervala works on the tiny blood vessels, the ones that are the arterioles, that get kind of ratty on the inside from the diabetes, and the Nervala helps them repair, so you get better blood flow. So all of those together make a huge difference.
Awesome.
Before we let you go, Dr. Saunders, somebody asked a question about how do you measure blood sugars, and I was gonna say I just went over and measured my blood sugar a minute ago, or 5, and I got a 72 rating, which is the lowest I've ever seen in my life. Like for me, earlier this morning, I was at 113, which is kind of normal for me. For whatever reason, my morning blood sugars are higher and then they come down throughout the day. But do you think that 72 reading, should I do another one and check it? And like, what do you say with using regular blood sugar monitors? How reliable are they?
They're not reliable for the number. They're reliable for a concept. And so if you look at it as a general concept, that my blood sugars are generally in the under 100 range, or just over 100 range, or around 150, or around almost 200, or over 200. So that general idea is pretty good. It's if you were to take like the same sample and put it on 4 different blood sugar monitors, you would get 4 different numbers that are more than 10% off. So ideally, with like, if you go to a lab and you get your blood drawn, they are supposed to be clearly within 10%. So if it's supposed to be 100, between 90 and 110, it's going to have to stay in that range, within 10% of what it really is. So if you take 2, like draw somebody's blood and take that same sample and put it on, send it to 4 different labs, they should all be very close to each other. Whereas these blood sugar monitors, the home blood sugar monitors, they're not that close. They could be 20% off.
Interesting. Okay.
They just give you an idea. You don't have to repeat it. And go, that's a little off. No.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Good. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Saunders. Great as always. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next week. All right. We're going to stay on. Yep. Bye. Today's Fixed Blood Sugar webinar is sponsored by Cinechroma, our best-selling advanced blood sugar support formula. Now, thousands of people around the world are taking Cinechroma every day as part of their program to fix their blood sugar using natural ingredients that simply work. Now, Dr. Saunders formulated Cinechroma to meet key nutritional deficiencies that most people have unknowingly suffered from for far too long. With Cinechroma, you get a blend of 6 key ingredients. The perfect combination of chromium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, which it's important to take those 2 together, selenium, vanadium, and our 10-to-1 cinnamon bark extract. Now, if you're not already using Cinechroma, I highly recommend that you give it a try and see how it helps your energy, your weight, and your blood sugar numbers. You can get Cinechroma at bartonnutrition.com or on Amazon. If you get it at bartonnutrition.com, you can enter the coupon code webinar25 and you'll save 25% off at bartonnutrition.com. But I realize some people like to go to Amazon as well. So anyways, Cinechroma, highly recommend. Now let's get you back to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. So I thought it would be good. We might have another question or two that Leslie and I could try to answer, but we did mention a few supplements today, and we haven't talked a whole lot about that. So bartonnutrition.com is a place where you can go. So we talked about Cinechroma. This is our #1 selling blood sugar support formula that has cinnamon bark extract, chromium, vanadium, selenium, vitamin D, vitamin K. Super good supplement. I actually took this. So I measured my blood sugar this morning. It was 113. I took a Cinechroma, and what else did I take? I took 2 other things. I don't remember what it was now. Immune support. And now my blood sugar is 72. So I don't know. This could have helped with that. And we've had a lot of people say like they can't live without this. It just helps them so much, the energy levels and things like that. So if you want this, if you need to order more, just go to bartonnutrition.com and use the coupon code webinar25, and you can save an additional 25% off when you order today. And you can also buy multiple bottles to get bigger discounts as well. The other thing we mentioned, Dr. Saunders just mentioned Nervala. This is also one of our top selling supplements that's got alpha lipoic acid and benfotiamine, which is a vitamin B. And this is really good for neuropathy, nerve pain, blood sugar, insulin resistance, and all that. So this is great. It's a month's supply. It's actually more than a month's supply. No, it's not. It's a month's supply. So the other thing I was going to mention, immune support. So the last 10 days or so, my wife has been kind of under the weather, just coughing and not feeling great. And I've had a lot of friends and family that have been talking about how they're not feeling good as well. I started coming down with something a day or two ago, and I just started taking more of this immune support, and it's really helped me. It's got zinc, vitamin C, vitamin E, selenium, and NAC, which is now apparently a banned substance on Amazon. I think the pharmaceuticals got involved for whatever reason. They wanted to patent that or something like that. But it's got reishi mushroom. I was looking at an old label there. Let's see. Green tea, elderberry, echinacea, and quercetin. So this is immune support. We haven't talked a lot about this, but if you or someone you know is feeling sick or whatever, this stuff, like, it helps to get your immune system boosted really quickly. I would say combine that with the Synachroma with the vitamin D, because that helps as well. So bartonnutrition.com, 25% off when you use the coupon code webinar25. So Leslie, are there any other questions you think you and I could try to tackle here that have come in?
I do not believe so.
All right. It looks like we got most of those answered on there. So
yep.
Yeah, very good. One other thing, we do have another webinar that we've been doing. It's called Low Carb with Dana, and we have been doing that for a few weeks now. And if you go to our Facebook page, the Barton Webinar Facebook page, you can find a link to register for that. We do it Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Time. And we're also putting that on our YouTube channel. Dana is a health coach. She's actually a friend of mine, a friend of ours. She lives locally here. She's very much into like lowering blood sugar with low carbs and how, like, cooking ideas and lots of practical things that we cover. And so that's just an added webinar that we thought would be valuable, and we've gotten into some really good discussions and shared some really good tips. And so if you want to register for that, I think it's on the Facebook page, right, Leslie? That's the place to go.
It is, yes.
Yep. So that, and if you have questions with her, that's a great time to get more questions answered. She's provides a lot of good value. So
let's see.
Greg, Deb, a question.
Deb, you're asking about Dana's webinar, I'm assuming, right? There is a Zoom link. If you give me just a second, I can try to grab it.
Yeah.
Stall, Joe, stall.
I will answer Greg's question. So he asked if we could put higher amounts in the bottles so there's wasted space or too much plastic. So the issue that we run into, like this bottle, we put 30 capsules, and if you look inside, well, this one isn't open, but there is, you know, this is probably already half used because I take this, but yeah, there's a lot of space in here, but we can't use smaller bottles because then you wouldn't be able to read anything on the label. So unless you get a magnifying glass or something like that. But so that's, and you know, you put cotton in there and different things like that. So that's just kind of the way it is with nutritional supplements. I mean, I do have a bottle of, what is this? I've got an allergy bottle that, you know, I can't read it unless I'm putting it way out there. And so we like to have the labels that are big enough to read as well. So it's a good suggestion. We will consider it if there's a way that we can make our labels still readable and have smaller bottles. The other thing we could do is maybe double up, like a double dose inside of that. That's something that, yeah, that might actually be a good idea as well. So we could consider that. So, all right, Leslie, did you find the link yet?
I got it. I'm posting it right now.
All right, here we go. Check the chat. It's coming soon. Drum roll.
Oh, just kidding. Hold on. Didn't let me copy it fully. There we go. Okay.
All right.
You could register there.
Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, you click on that and you just put your email, name and email, I believe, in there, and then you'll get emailed an hour beforehand and a day ahead of time as well with that link to join in on the webinar, the low carb webinar with Dana. So Meg says many of the plastics from these bottles can be recycled. We've been doing that. Yes, it actually on the bottom, it's got that recycle with the number 2 inside of it. So if your local recycling trash removal takes that, then certainly use the recycling. So good stuff. All right. Well, I think that should about wrap us up for the day. Thanks everybody for joining us. And maybe next time we'll get more testimonials. If anybody wants to share your testimonial on Zoom, send Leslie an email or a message on our Facebook page or something like that. So, all right. Thanks, Leslie. I think we need to go out and enjoy the sunshine now. Get a little sun on the melon, that's what I'm thinking.
I'll be over here. We'll be at my whole family will be at your house in about 20 minutes.
It's a great day for the pool.
It is.
Yes. Come on over, everyone. You're all invited to for a pool party in our backyard.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. We will see you Tuesday. Hopefully you're registered for the next webinar on Tuesday.
Otherwise, Thursday as well.
Yes.
Same time, same place. All right. Bye, everyone. Take care and God bless.